목요일날 저녁 6시 40분이 막 지나고 있습니다. 오늘부터 새로운 시도를 한번 해야 되겠는데, 오늘 제가 오전에 청평에 가서 좋은 풍경 좀 찍어왔고 내일 아침 올라가요. 오늘부터는 영어신문을 스크랩을 따로 하지 않고 제 독서는 10대로 가충가충 눈에 띄는 기사만 좀 읽겠습니다. 우선 우리 국내 영어신문 3개입니다. 뉴욕타임즈는 따로 이제 할 거고, 비즈니스, Hyundai to pursue hypercasting, $730 million plant in Ulsan to cut cost with the method used by Tesla. Tesla reportedly incurred a cost reduction of approximately 30% using this method, as it has increased production speed. Ground will be broken in July, with mass production slated for 2026. Hypercasting is a method of injecting molten aluminum alloy into mold to shape the vehicle's frame using an ultra-large press that can apply 6,000 to 9,000 tons of force. Tesla first implemented gigacasting in 2020 at its factory in Fremont, California, and then in its Chinese and German plants. The method has proven to be more cost-effective compared to the traditional approach, which is labor-intensive and involves drilling thousands of holes into nearly empty steel plates that are then individually welded. Cosby, 2,675, 52 point up, raising hope. A screen in Hana Bank's trading room in central Seoul showed the Cosby closing at 2,675 points on Wednesday, up 2% or 52 points from the previous trading session. US dollar to Korean won 1,369. AI holds the key to resilient cities. While our built environments and infrastructure are being tested by unpredictable weather and changing population, many urban communities are facing heightened climate-related health and economic risk. Dangers such as air pollution and natural disasters can be especially acute in developing countries, where they threaten to drive more people into poverty. Unlocking transformation in African health. The COVID-19 shock underscored the critical need to fund public health systems and expand access to essential technologies and preventive and therapeutic drugs, and should have served as a wake-up call for policymakers and publics worldwide. Can you feed your pet your own food? Many pets suffer from ear infection or skin diseases. Planet of the Apes sequel reaches new VFX at the pinnacle. Film's visual took 964 million hours to render, supervisor says. Trump's tabloid scribe confessed catch and kill. New York. In the 1990s, Donald Trump famously gossiped to the tabloids about who else himself, a headline chaser who loved none other than to see his name in light or at least in the supermarket checkout line. But those were Trump's the good old days, an era of clubs and models, long before he launched a bid for the U.S. presidency and found himself needing to squash the lewd party boy stories he once boasted about. In particular, the smooth-talking tabloid man said he thought there would be a lot of women who would be trying to sell stories about Trump because the then candidate was well known as the most eligible bachelor, despite having married his third wife, Melania, in 2005. Speaking nonchalantly to the packed courtroom, Packer, who will continue his testimony in the high-profile trial, Thursday recalled saying, "I would run or publish positive stories about Mr. Trump, and I would publish negative stories about his opponents. I said that I would also be the eyes and the ears in service of the campaign," he added. Israel steps up strike across Gaza, orders new evacuation. U.S. Congress passes Ukraine aid after months of delay. $61 billion for Kyiv out of $95 billion for foreign aid. A sweeping foreign aid package easily passed the U.S. Congress later on Tuesday after months of delay, clearing the way for billions of dollars in fresh Ukrainian funding amid advances from Russia's invasion force and Kyiv's shortage of military supplies. "I think that we've turned the corner on the isolationist movement," McConnell told the news conference. AIMO eyes global expansion in AI-driven self-driving market. Korean startup shows unrivaled edge in AI data at the beach. The company said its AI technology significantly reduced the time and cost required for clients to manage data and drastically decrease the likelihood of errors in data management. Doom and gloom. President faces grave post-election challenges. A year ago, Washington was embracing President Yoon Suk-yeol. He was being lauded for strengthening Seoul's defense alliance with the U.S. and Japan. However, the April 10th National Assembly election has raised concerns about how reliable an ally Korea will be in the future. The election results reveal a country that is deeply polarized, mired in domestic troubles, and unlikely to be able to tackle major economic challenges during the remaining 3 years of Yoon's term in office. The conservative president's unpopularity, which recently hit a new low, will continue to undercut his effectiveness as a leader. The public rejection of the Yoon administration can be regarded as decisive since the election had the highest voter turnout since 1992. Unfortunately, the partisan warfare looks to get worse as the two sides engage in personal rancor. DPK leader Lee Jae-myung has called the Yoon administration a prosecutor dictatorship, and Cho-guk said he wants the president not to be a lame duck, but a dead duck. It is thus a dangerous time to have a divided government in Korea as polarization grows stronger. Leave falling birth rate alone. It has become the norm these days to hear that Korea's birth rate has fallen to a new record low, month after month. Many Koreans are reluctant to tie the knot, and even if they do get married, many choose not to have babies, plain and simple. According to Statistics Korea, the nation's fertility rate, the average number of expected births from a woman in her lifetime, came to 0.6 in the fourth quarter of 2023, hitting a new all-time low. Everybody knows the reasons why Koreans don't want to have babies: soaring housing prices, a tight job market, high private education cost, and an inadequate childcare system, to name a few. Recognizing the plunging birth rate as the biggest demographic crisis facing Asia's fourth largest economy, the Korean government spent nearly 400 trillion won in taxpayer money from 2006 to 2023 to encourage people to get married and have children, but all to no avail. No one should be critical of young people for having fewer babies. Given this unfavorable living condition, individual survival trumps reproduction. If conditions become optimal for having a family, they will do so, even if they are told not to do. Nobody knows whether or not his prediction will materialize, and even if it becomes reality 280 years in the future, there isn't much to do at the moment to persuade young Koreans to have more babies. So let's leave Korea's falling birth rate alone. Nature always finds a way, though it may not be the way we wish it to be. Attending weddings. I vowed to no longer accept and attend wedding invitation because so many I supported with my presence were later locally dissolved. However, I reneged on that solemn pledged commitment by attending a good friend's son's most recent civil social union. The wedding contract is a bond of universal enduring culture. The audience's presence ensures that the knot is tied in a mighty public way. The joint agreement implies that to one person, you may be the world. The couples are excited battlefield and enter into the basic and primal instinct of matrimony, taking on the garment of respectability. I personally was late to enter the civil contract due to an irretrievable loss and failure of my ill-adventured youth. My floundering and foundering in early days due to habits and misunderstanding of the responsibilities that attend with love delayed me much. It was long for me to realize that it takes more than a box of chocolate, I love you cards, amorous letters, and many talks with the same lady to possess a kind attention and prompt her to get the wedding dress ready for me. I do believe that I personally did not experience and find this out until a decade later, however. I wonder if I am the only most married man that I ever saw in my life. How to burn tax dollars with little to show for it. California has a vast political bureaucratic complex dedicated to homelessness. No fewer than 9 state agencies and 30 programs. That's Taoism. In this way, the negative space is not actually negative, but rather an essential part of totality. How California's mass wars hurt the minorities. This could be an excellent solution, but the options available are not well developed. Globalization versus democracy. Our most cherished ideals are increasingly at risk, but the one that plays a critical role is emerging from a strange concoction of unchecked economic globalization and severe political balkanization. This has enabled major powers like the United States to wield disproportionate influence over the well-being of billions of people worldwide who have no political voice. Proportion of Korean-style lease drops in home rental market. Fraud cases deter tenants from chunse contracts involving lump sum deposit. The decline of chunse contracts is particularly noticeable in the case of villas, which in Korea typically denote small residential buildings, usually around 5 stories high, with a smaller number of units as opposed to taller, more expensive apartments. Finance ministers suggest overhauling bureaucracy with the private sector work culture. I'm not sure how private sector work culture can be put into practice in an objective and transparent manner, he added. Childbirth in Korea hit another low in February. The number of babies born in Korea fell below the 20,000 level for the first time for any February this year. Data showed Wednesday amid deepening woes about the country's demographics amid rapid aging and ultra-low birth rate. Real World Forum unites large small firms for decarbonization, energy transformation, key to SDX Foundation's climate crisis plan. Tesla to launch new models earlier than expected. Currently, Tesla's Model 3 and Model Y, with starting prices of around $40,000, are its only volume sellers. U.S. Senate passed bill to force TikTok divestment or face a ban. This is a good move for America. Dear Abby, two daughters make clear whose side they've taken. Dear Abby, I have been divorced for 9 years. Before that, I was a stay-at-home mom raising 4 children. I had an in-home business, and most of the money went to our family's needs. My husband became an alcoholic 20 years into our 28-year marriage. After we divorced, my 2 adult daughters abandoned me because I received spousal support from their father. Whenever I let them know how much I miss them, the only answer they give is that they will resume a relationship when I stop taking the money. My younger daughter and I were close for years after the divorce. Then all of a sudden, everything changed, and she ceased all communication. I used to have a wonderful relationship with both. They have since blocked the communication with me and moved far away from me and their father. I would love to have a relationship with them, but everything is a dead end. If you are wondering, yes, the money is used for living expenses, help, etc. Please help. Incredulous in Oregon. Dear incredulous, so your daughters have decided to side with their drunkard of a father and are trying to blackmail you into submission. Please don't allow them to get away with it. Continue taking their alimony to which you are entitled and go on with your life. You can only hope that your daughters eventually will see the light. As I said, you really have no other choice because at this point you are dependent on those funds to survive. I am struggling with whether I am obligated to organize a party for our 50th anniversary. I was the main caregiver for my wife until a year ago, when I physically could no longer do it and had to put her in a board and care facility. She had Alzheimer's, is wheelchair bound, and must be fed and changed. I still work during the day, but I help her put her to bed at night. On the weekends, I wheel her to a park so she can get fresh air and watch kids on the playground. She perks up when she sees me, and I always feel good when I get her to laugh about something her goopy husband tried to do or botched. We have 5 grandchildren close by, and she had 2 sisters and a brother and many cousins. One sister visited her often. The care facility is small, but they love parties. Anniversaries are important, but as time goes on, they seem to just come and go. I feel like the luckiest guy in the world to have shared my life with my wife. I would appreciate your thought, party or not in California. Dear party or not, if you think that your wife would enjoy it, arrange for a cake and beverages and invite the relatives. Before you do that, though, ask our caregivers if it would intimidate or frighten her to have so much activity going on around her. If it would give you pleasure to do this, you have my blessing. However, please remember that it is not an obligation. Finish it when you start. Use your imagination, and you'll find a shortcut to make life easier and keep your cost low. Put more thought into the relationship, clear up the misunderstanding, and share feelings. A financial discrepancy will cause you a problem. Get the facts and the figures. KG Mobility launches hybrid assembly line. The Form's two assembly lines are both capable of building the model. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes differs aesthetically. VFX, the supervisor, explained what set new installment apart. This film gives us an opportunity to go way into the future beyond that and find ourselves a brand new cast of characters. Tuguan protest possible extradition to U.S. U.S. and the SEC seek $5.3 billion fine on crypto mogul Terraform Labs. The disgraced crypto tycoon already faced hefty financial trouble from the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC). Crypto.com delays Korean market entry indefinitely. Gold had two dominant forces in scapular coda. I think there's a key in the simplicity that I have when I pray. Seoul unveils River City plan to revitalize Han River. Project expected to create economic impact of $674 million and 6,800 jobs. OECD to dispatch the team of Korea's prosecution reform. Patients brace for med professor's resignation, weekly shutdown. Prolonged standoff makes patients feel like the hostages. I never intended to transfer my daughter, but I felt compelled to do so. But the hospital still requested payment for the necessary document, she said. Korea launches post-nano satellite to boost surveillance over peninsula. Biden-Trump easily win in Pennsylvania. U.S. President Joe Biden and Republican challenger Donald Trump on Tuesday easily won their primaries in the battleground state of Pennsylvania, according to Edison Research. But thousands cast a vote for former candidate Nikki Haley. UN calls for probe into Gaza massacre grave. Tennessee passed bill to allow armed teachers. My Republican colleagues continue to hold our state hostage, hold our state at gunpoint to appeal to their donors in the gun industry. Democratic State Representative Justin Jones said, "It is morally insane." Protesters chanted "Blood on your hands" at Tennessee House Republicans on Tuesday after they passed a bill that would allow some teachers and staff to carry concealed handgun on public school ground and bar parents and other teachers from knowing who was armed. Tesla to launch new models ahead of planned timeline shares jump. I think that we've said all we will on that front, Musk said. U.S. Senate passed bill to force the sale of TikTok, a decision made by House Republicans last week to attach the TikTok bill to the high priority package helped expedite its passage in Congress and came after negotiation with the Senate, where an earlier version of the bill had stalled. NASA chief asked countries to work together on climate change. Solutions to mitigate the greenhouse gas emission that rapidly warm the planet and drive the climate crisis already exist, but require unprecedented changes at a new scale and pace. Biden finalized rule to grant overtime for more workers. The Biden administration has finalized a new rule set to make the millions of more salaried workers eligible for overtime pay in the U.S. Too often, lower paid salaried workers are doing the same job as their hourly counterparts but are spending more time away from their families for no additional pay. That is unacceptable, Acting Secretary of Labor Julie said in a prepared statement. She added that the administration was following through on a promise to raise the bar. Why this tutor teaches for the free? Frustrated math tutor quits tutoring for pay discover paths to mutual growth through free lesson with those who choose to learn. Ungrateful pupils. The free lessons are in fact a small social experiment driven by a disgruntled tutor determined to instill appreciation in return for her efforts. However, no one is allowed to bring their own snacks. If they have snacks they want, they can enjoy them outside. Inside, only the snacks provided here are allowed, she clarified. I have lived in this neighborhood since I was an elementary school student. It has a special place in my heart, she explained. Hunger unfold a brand new world. Grace, a Filipina kindergarten principal, on how Korean language put her on an unintended but fascinating path. Hanwha Life taps into global banking through fresh investment in Indonesia. Korean investment in U.S. almost doubles from pre-pandemic, securing logistics bases on U.S. East Coast become crucial to mitigate supply chain risk. Hyundai unveils versatile commercial EV platform. Post STI cargo vehicles are soaring e-commerce logistics market. $100 million childbirth incentive. Seoul Explorer cash incentive for each child born amid plunging birth rate. The South Korean government has taken a variety of policy steps to bolster the declining birth rate, which is accelerating during the much dreaded demographic crisis. This time, a state-run agency is exploring the feasibility of a drastic proposal, a handout of 100 million won, $72,500 in cash for each baby born. The KDI suggested the government should prioritize changing social and workplace conditions to grapple with the birth rate problem. It is unclear whether the 100 million won cash handout program would actually work to bolster the birth rate. What's certain is that the country's demographic crisis is serious enough to consider even such a dramatic proposal. Tiny speaker stand up. Louisianan Mike Johnson became House Speaker by accident when 8 renegade Republicans voted with the Democrats to eject the unfortunate Kevin McCarthy from the chair in October. Johnson has been an exceptionally wicked speaker, and not just due to the narrowness of his majority. He gave in to the right-wing mob to impeach Secretary of Homeland Security on fake charges and they jumped to obey Donald Trump's reckless command to scuttle the Senate's hard-fought bipartisan measure on immigration reform. The amount of actual legislation passed by this Congress on behalf of the country is a record low. Johnson's political career may not last past this year, but its short tenure will be remembered for when America came to the aid of Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. And that's a lot more important than the fortunes of a congressman who no one had ever heard before October, sleepwalking into civil war. If you are searching for insight into the likelihood of a second American Civil War, you won't find it in Civil War, a film written and directed by Alex and currently in theaters in the U.S. When the movie starts, the U.S. is already in full-blown war against itself. Things have gotten so bad that California and Texas have formed a coalition, strange bedfellows indeed, to resist an apparently authoritarian president who had somehow forced his way into an unconstitutional third term. Countries nearly always sleepwalk into civil war. Journalism more important than ever. Around the world, there is a growing sense that democracy is in decline. An important step toward reversing this is to enhance support for quality journalism starting immediately. The cost of inaction may be enormous. Sold to build floating facilities on Han River. The city also planned to open a river terminal known as the Seoul Port by 2026, which will operate passenger ferries along the route linking the Han River to the West Sea. Most new hires are college graduates. Large corporations are defined as those with a market capitalization of 5 trillion won or above. After election defeat one next for ex-PPP leader, Han Dong-hun still has clout, but must be cautious in choosing next steps. Observers over 50s make a majority of those filing for bankruptcy. Nearly 90% of those who filed for bankruptcy in Seoul last year were aged at least 50, with a substantial portion of the number being male or living alone, Seoul government data showed Wednesday. How risky is Japan's monetary policy normalization? Japan may have reached this point. The change comes after more than a decade of super loose monetary policy by the BOJ. The first step toward monetary policy normalization went smoothly, and it is entirely possible that the next one will too. But there are plenty of challenges ahead for the BOJ. Should Donald Trump's jury really remain anonymous? What are we to make of the anonymous jury in former President Donald Trump's criminal trial in New York? The practice has long had its critics. Maybe the best we can do is to accept that the occasional anonymous jury is an imperfect solution for an imperfect world, and a solution that will leave everyone dissatisfied. Lawsuits against Apple are not just for iPhone users. Last month, the Department of Justice filed its long-awaited antitrust suit against Apple, accusing the company of monopolizing the smartphone market. This makes Apple the last of the US-based tech giants to face a major monopolization lawsuit from a federal agency. Lady NASA's victim to receive $138 million government settlement. Most survivors never see justice. Most survivors never get the restitution. A retired federal judge, Gregory, served as a mediator in the federal claims. The U.S. Justice Department announced a $138 million settlement Tuesday with more than 100 people who accused the FBI of grossly mishandling allegations of sexual assault against Lady in 2015 and 2016, a critical time gap that allowed the sports doctor to continue to prey on victims before his arrest. WNBA's Greener contemplated suicide during captivity. WNBA superstar Brittany Greener has revealed she contemplated suicide during a 9-month ordeal in a Russian jail that left her feeling less than a human. New love amid grief. I am a 45-year-old man, and I was married for 17 years to my lovely wife until her untimely death a year ago. My wife and I have 3 children, one of whom is from her previous relationship. I love her so much, and when she passed, I was heartbroken and severely depressed. Recently, an old girlfriend from my teenage years reached out and was a great friend to me. She helped me through my grief, helped me reconnect with God, and was always there for me. During this time, I developed romantic feelings toward her, and she to me. I want to ask her to marry me, but my question is there a time limit on moving on? Or should I mourn my wife because I do not want to disrespect her? My children and stepchild won't talk to me also, and treat me like a pariah. And help will be great, thank you. Widowed husband. Dear widowed husband, the pain of losing a spouse is profound, and navigating grief is a deeply personal process. The fact that you are considering love again is a testament to your capacity for love and a sign of healing. The reaction of your children and stepchild, however, is an important consideration. Their behavior suggests they may be struggling with their own grief and possibly feeling like moving on could be a betrayal of their mother's memory. It's important to approach this situation with empathy, patience, and open communication. It might be beneficial to seek family counseling. There's no universal timeline for mourning or for when it's appropriate to find a new love, and marrying again doesn't mean you disrespected your wife. If this relationship feels right, it's okay to embrace it. Just make sure you are moving forward with sensitivity to your own feeling, those of your children, and the memory of your wife. Consider speaking with a counselor or spiritual advisor to help you through this complex emotion. Dear Annie, I know this topic has been beaten to death, but still I am asking for advice. For more than 25 years, I have been designing and making all of my greeting cards by hand with rubber stamps, dyes, and coloring tools. It takes me a long time to do one card, and I enjoy the process very much. I have two children who each have two children. One is a son, the other a daughter. My daughter's kids, who are teens, always thank me for the cards. My son's kids, who are slightly younger, never have, and I mean that never, literally. Last year, for their birthdays, I bought the store bought cards to send with their gift. I'm waiting for the day when my son asks why. Do I tell the truth and say that my feelings have been hurt and that I am done with anticipating a response that will never come? Or do I make up some story about not having time or whatever? The grandkids don't live close to each other, so there isn't ever a comparison made. It just makes me sad that they do not appreciate what I do, sad and hurting grandma. Being open about your feelings is often the best route. Rely on one you know to help bypass those manipulating and misleading you. Gather the facts and stick to the truth. You'll deter anyone from pressuring you into doing something unnecessary or detrimental. Let your generous spirit lead the way. Amid the aging population, Korea to invite more young professionals from overseas. Rapidly shrinking population may require foreign engineers, scientists, teachers, IT professionals in future, said KEIS at the head. As South Korea grapples with a shrinking population, it is increasingly turning to foreign workers to fill crucial roles. Today, labor from overseas is concentrated in low paying, unskilled jobs, but in the future, many will be hired to perform highly skilled work, according to Kim, president of the Korea Employment Information Service. Highly skilled jobs may include engineers, scientists, teachers, managers, and IT professionals, he said. Korea is getting more and more in need of all kinds of labor. The manpower shortage in Korea is not necessarily limited to manual or non-professional labor, but highly educated workers are also needed, he said in a recent interview with the Korea Herald. This prospect indicates that Korean society must prepare the coexistence with immigrants. The newsletter is free and is distributed to 80 member nations of the World Association of Public Employment Services. It is also published on the KEIS website for free public access. In the near future, the agency should develop and stabilize the services that incorporate new technologies into employment services, Kim said. Rocket expert the ex-NASA exec to lead Korean Space Agency. Born in 1956, Lee is currently a senior advisor to the state-backed Korea Astronomy and Space Science Institute. SK Hynix pledges 20 trillion won to ramp up DRAM production at home. SK Hynix, the world's second-largest memory chip maker, said Wednesday it will expand the production capacity of next-generation DRAM, including high-bandwidth memory, which is critical to generative artificial intelligence tools in response to rapidly increasing demand for AI chips. Nanosatellite successfully entered orbit. South Korea launched its first homegrown Earth observation nanosatellite into orbit as part of the country's project to create a satellite constellation by 2027, the Science Ministry said Wednesday. Represent, accelerate, make a reservation. Bride giddy over wedding gift. I have a friend whose son was taking a job across the country after the wedding. She hosted a bridal shower since many of us had met her future daughter-in-law and her parents didn't live nearby. We were asked to give our best marital advice and bring a gift. Since I wasn't married and I had a custodial job, I made a list of everyday products and what they could be used to clean. At the wedding reception, the bride came to me and gave me a hug. Then she told me that mine was the best gift because she didn't know how to clean very well. That's one gift. That's one gift that could be used again and again and passed down for generations. Plus, it's something that made me feel good. Still feeling good. Giddy. They are still feeling good. What a wonderful example of how thoughtfulness and creativity can go a long way. Many people experience stress or anxiety over the financial cost of attending a wedding, from travel fare to hotel reservation to wedding gift, not to mention separate occasions altogether like bachelorette parties and bridal showers. Your thoughtfulness and your pride in your work are shining through in your gift, and the bride clearly appreciated the personal touch. Well done. Constant criticism straining friendship. I have recently made a new friend who has a wonderful personality, except for one thing. She's relentlessly critical. Whenever we get together, she tended to make a snide remark or point out flaws in everything from the food to the decor to somebody's outfit. I understand that everyone is entitled to their opinion, but the constant negativity makes it difficult for others to relax and enjoy themselves. I've considered addressing this with a directory, but I'm unsure of the best approach. Should I just grin and bear it, or is there a way to address the issue without causing undue tension. Critic fatigued. They are critic fatigued. Tolerating constant negativity can take a toll on your own well being and the dynamic of your friendship. So it's important to address the issue and not just grin and bear it. Talk to your friend and offer specific example to illustrate your point, but avoid placing blame or making sweeping generalization. It's possible that your friend may not notice how her behavior is affecting others. She may be receptive to the feedback, or she may get defensive. It's important that you both approach the situation with open mindedness and mutual respect to work toward a resolution. Medical professors to resign today. Faculty also decided to take weekly days off as workload mounts. Medical professors at major hospitals in Korea will begin resigning today as planned and take one day off weekly starting next week, arguing that they have been pushed to their limits from overwork, with the junior doctor strike extending over 2 months. Newborns hit record low in February. Statistics show the number of newborns in Korea sunk to a new low for the months of February. Marriage saw an on-year decline, while divorce increased. Jamboree fiasco wasn't our fault. Gender Ministry. The Ministry of Gender Equality and Family on Wednesday denied that the Korean government was partly to blame for the disbandment of the 25th World Scout Jamboree that took place in North Jeolla last year. DP hardliners urged Chip to get tough in talks with Yoon. Empowered by their landslide victory in the recent general election, hardline voices within the Liberal Democratic Party are calling on leader Lee to raise contentious issues during his proposed meeting with President Yoon. It remains unclear when Yoon and Lee will meet. Did Hive's multi-label system stab itself in the back? A clash between parent and subsidiary could reveal the cracks in the conglomerate's setup. Sticks, cones, and a whole lot of fetch. Learning to pass, catch, and cradle with lacrosse club soul jingles. Warm-ups with a twist. DP misinterpret the election results again. How to further burden future generation. The pension fund is also affected by many other factors, including the return rate of the asset managed by the fund, subscription age, and the basic pension. Time to reset our unification path. If the country can have a dream to affect the rest of the world by accomplishing the long-awaited unification following its marvelous economic development and democratization, it will certainly help conclude the country's long journey to prove its region later in this world. Korea's three diplomatic trips. The exemplary case is Korea's relationship with Japan. The pros and cons of improved relations with Japan in a fast-changing international environment should be closely examined for national interest and fully explained to the public. But the government has failed to convince the public that it needed to overcome partisan and normalize ties with Japan. The governing party also pandered to conservative sentiment without presenting clear grounds on which to build friendly terms with Tokyo.